WITD, the one and only podcast by a blind wrestling fan. Hey up guys, heavy spoilers ahead. If you haven't watched the NXT Championship match between Toni Storm and Rhea Ripley and you don't want to know the result, you should probably go watch it and then come back. But for now, for anyone who's sticking with me, let's talk about that match. I was really excited going into this. I'm well behind Rhea Ripley at the minute. I've loved watching the rise of Rhea Ripley since she's come to NXT and just made a name for herself, dethroning Shayna Baszler, who's one of my favourites as well. She seems so tough and like a fighting champion, and I was just really looking forward to this, especially since I was there in Blackpool when they had that title match, so this just sort of held a special place in my heart. But what happened? As the match gets underway, Nigel says that he gives the strength advantage to Rhea Ripley, which isn't something that you can usually say when someone's going against Toni Storm, because she likes to throw her weight around. She uses those big boots to her advantage. He also says that Rhea Ripley has long, rangy legs, which I actually appreciate, because I've never actually seen Rhea Ripley, never had a physical description of her, so now I know that she has long legs, so I can just imagine legs. That's all she'll be from now. Seriously though, I appreciate the physical description. Just any sort of clue to help me visualise, I really appreciate. I also like that they really put over that Toni has been changed. She's in a much darker place, having lost the NXT UK Women's Championship. Match gets underway. Toni starts laying in shots. She hits a kick that sends Rhea crashing neck first into the turnbuckle, and from there Toni just zeroes in. She gets a suplex, goes for the cover, Rhea kicks out. Toni manages to lock in an STF with the legs figure forward. Nigel talks about how much this has got to be hurting Rhea's neck, how much she's going to struggle, how much damage it's going to do. When she eventually fights out, she gets when Rhea eventually fights out, Toni gets a DDT. She's just super calculated, honing in on that neck, delivering vicious elbows to the neck, and even when she goes for the cover, Nigel makes sure that we know that she's just driving that forearm across the throat, just making sure that all the damage just gets all gets focused on the neck. They start having a bit of a strike exchange, laying in shots on each other, and Rhea eventually comes out on top of this. She starts hitting knees to Toni's jaw, one to the side of her head, right on the ear. She hits a jumping knee strike, and then she manages to get Toni in the standing cloverleaf. She grabs for her neck though, and Nigel makes sure that we know that she's not going to be able to put as much pressure, get as much leverage on this submission with just the one hand. I like that. This would have been one of those things where she would have locked Toni in and maybe won the match or swung around by it like she likes to do, but the damage to the neck had sort of depleted her strength, so she was not able to get as much pressure, and I thought that was really cool. Toni eventually fights out. She gets a German suplex and starts laying in vicious kicks to the lower back, but Rhea starts firing back up, gets a standing drop kick. Toni, however, counters with a headbutt, goes up top, goes for the frog splash. Rhea moves out the way, gets the riptide, and retains the championship. I'm actually surprised, having gone back through my notes, how little seems to have happened in this match, because I actually really enjoyed it while I was watching it. I don't feel like Tom let us down, and that's one of the things that actually helped me enjoy this pay-per-view a little bit more, that Tom wasn't on his worst game, and that's something that makes me really happy. I do think that this could have just had that little bit longer. In terms of the ratings, I give it a 4+, but I think if you took 5 minutes from somewhere else, maybe the beginning of the DIY match, because I thought that took a few minutes to get going, if you could have just given them 5 more minutes, I think that this could have easily pushed itself into the 5 territory, but as it was, it sort of half Tony's match, half Rhea's match, and then a little back and forth sequence, and it ends. But it's good that Rhea's got that defence under her belt, starts the dominant reign that she's going to have, and it propels Tony further down that dark path. So I think in terms of the story being told, I think that was good. I think the actual in-ring stuff was good, and the commentary did a pretty good job. Let me know what you thought of this match in the comments section and on Twitter at Mason_WITD. And if you've enjoyed this episode, feel free to subscribe, click that like button, and come back for more Wrestling in the Dark. But for now, I'm off, and you should have a good one.